Sometimes when you're coding, something feels like it's going to be really easy and quick to do, but then you actually try to do it and it takes ages. For example, I was streaming the other day and somebody suggested to add a counter to show how many enemies are left to kill. Easy, I thought. The problem is, all of the enemies don't exist at the start of the level. I spawn them in over time. So I can't just check how many enemies exist because they don't all exist yet. So in the end, I had to modify the enemy manager script to keep a track of how many enemies it was going to spawn in, how many it already had spawned in, how many enemies had been killed, and how many enemies were still alive. I then needed to make sure that every time an enemy is killed, an event is sent back to the enemy manager so that it knows one of the enemies has died. Because previously, it didn't matter. So now, when an enemy dies, it has an on-death event, and the enemy manager, when it spawns an enemy in, subscribes to the on-death event. And that way, once the event has been called, it can keep a track that that enemy has died. And then there's a script which handles updating the UI, and that registers to an event on the enemy manager called onEnemyNumberChange. And that event calculates how many enemies are left to spawn, how many are left to kill, and what are the total number of enemies altogether. So hopefully that explains why